Blackburn Rovers are in action this coming weekend to take it on Norwich City, who had a bumpy start to the campaign and are looking to bounce back. Can they do it? Well, today we chat with the Canary and he's going to tell us all about it next. That's right, folks, back once again in another video. Today we're previewing, or actually hearing from the opposition fans. That's right, Rovers Rivals returns, and today it's all about Norwich City, and we'll get into all of that in a second. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe, and your one-stop shop for Blackburn Rovers is right here under one rooski. Today we go to the opposition dugout, and of course, and have a little sneak around of the Norwich fans, what they thinking, what they believe in, and we'll get into all of that in a minute. A big shout out once again to the VIPs. They are the patrons. You know who you are. And again, if you're new, smash the old subscribe. So, without further ado, with me today is Harvey, of course, old school Norwich City fan he's been, been on the show a couple of times. Harvey, how are you doing? Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. How are you? How is everything going at the moment?
It's good. I think probably my own personal life is like the transition of what my football team is currently going through at the minute. So, I think it's as good as it can be.
Well, let's talk about your beloved Canaries. Seems to be a lot going on off the field at the moment with Delia handing over the keys. Is that something that's going to work in Norwich's favour, or what's your take on that? All that drama right now.
So I think without one of the key members of the band as quickly as it has, so I think Delia's probably looking at it now, and I think we're in a little bit of debt, and I think at the point it kind of just accelerated it a little bit. So it's a very interesting time. It's a very turbulent time for Norwich, and it's one that I really do think will play a part this year in terms of where we finish and perhaps fans' overall expectations of what we expect this year, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how we do. I mean, the opening season, the opening game against Oxford was really telling in terms of where the squad is from Norwich's perspective. And I suppose the big worry is that we have still got some aging players. We have got Hanley, we have got Duffy, who are on the back end of probably going into that sort of deterioration of being very good centre backs in their time, but now I think they're just peaking over past their best. And Hanley, we have to talk about it. Obviously, that injury he picked up against Blackburn last year really did put him back quite some way. So I think we're in a huge transition period between a manager in David Wagner that thought that experience was the way to win in the Championship, with a manager who is exciting but unknown, who very much likes to use youth players, and we saw that in the Carrow Cup. We had under 21s left, right, and centre featuring in that game. So I think we're at this point now where we play Blackburn and we don't really know what our best defence is yet. We don't know what style of football we're going to be playing. There's a bit of old school hoof the ball upfield to the striker, and then there's a few tiki-taki modern bits of play. But we still don't really have that true identity of what Johannes Hoff-Thorup is going to be about. So it's a very interesting time, I think, for Norwich.
So speaking off that, off your response there to that first question, there's still some uncertainty about Mr. Jonathan Rowe, the young hot prospect. What is your gut feeling about that? Do you think there's only one way it's going, and if it goes that way, do you think there's any hope that you can, because you've already lost Gabriel Sara as well? I'm not too sure about your transfer. He did a little bit of business, but not much. Is there still expectation that players are going to be coming in if Mr. Rowe does leave?
So I can very much dive into that big time. So Sara, I don't think particularly wanted to leave at the time he did. Obviously, the type of club we are, we have to sell. We got a very good transfer fee of about 25 million for him to Galatasaray, which was actually a Turkish record transfer fee. So you can't complain when that type of money is put on the table. It's very sad, but we immediately came back and we've signed a very promising attacking player from RB Salzburg called Forsen. He will probably feature and probably start against Blackburn on Saturday. I fully expect that. The cameos he's had, he looks excellent on the half turn and looks really exciting. So definitely one to watch for the game. Coming back to Jonathan Rowe, the way that Norwich is, you can speak to the players after the game. They're not afraid to come out and speak to you individually. And I've always had chats with Rowe, even last season. And I think it is out of character of him to have kind of gone about the way that he's doing things. Unfortunately, he's represented by the same agent that we've had problems with in the past, where they've tried to force moves before and it hasn't quite worked. E.g., for example, Marseille put a bid in for Jonathan Rowe, did not meet the valuation that we wanted for Jonathan Rowe, and so the agents kicked up a fuss, has explained to Jonathan Rowe that he should withdraw himself, and actually what's happened is Rowe made himself available, and the club went, well, your agent's saying one thing, you're saying another. We're just gonna put you into the under 21s and go from there. So I really think it's an agent thing, and it's a shame for Rowe because he deserves a move. But we've looked at players in the past, Ida, Buendia, Sara, they all played, Aarons as well, Ben Godfrey, all these players played with transfer speculation and got on with it. They got on with the business. They played for the shirt for as long as they could, and then they were sold. And at that point, you go, fair enough. Thanks for what you've done. Whereas I think Rowe's gone about it the wrong way, which I think may mean that we have to potentially sell him for less. But the way that Ben Napper is, I really don't see us letting go of him. I think it's going to be more of almost a punishment, saying, yes, you wanted that move, but you've gone about it the wrong way. We value it this. They're not going to pay that because we've now relegated you to the under 21s. You now need to get on with it and come back. It's a bit like what Gnonto was like last season. Start of the season, tried to force a transfer, and then apologised, came back and got on with it. So I think that's where we're at with Rowe especially.
Yeah. So what will be? Is there any? So there's no expectation he's going to feature this weekend. No. Okay.
No. So he's out. He's out. Won't be featuring at all.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he makes a move before the transfer window shuts, or if he's has to earn his way back. So let's talk about the start of the season. Not a great start against Oxford. Maybe I didn't watch the game. I didn't know if Oxford were that good or Norwich just had one of those bad days. How did you rate that opening match?
It was how do we call it? Mistake ridden. So the problem we've had is that we explained this last year is that Hanley is prone to an error. And with that, he gave it. He gave the ball away for one of their goals, and there was a sloppy pass at the back by, I think, Duffy or something like that, from what I remember. And again, two ageing centre-backs, where the argument from Norwich fans is that if we're going to promote youth and the manager is all about youth, then why don't we play two centre-backs that are from the under-21s? Why don't we just throw them in, leave Hanley and Duffy to do almost the coaching and, the nurturing of young players? And if they make a mistake, they make a mistake and we don't get on their back. That's the argument that we've had. But it's defensively where we look worryingly interesting. Set pieces are atrocious. We played Stevenage in the Carabao Cup the other day. That was, I think, 4-2. Attacking wise, looked great. Defensively, from corners to set pieces, just woeful. And that's really, I think, where we're going to struggle this year is the set pieces. And I think defensively, so it will be a different line. I think it will be a different 4 this Saturday, and if it is the 4 that I think it will be, then potentially we do look better defensively than what we have done against Oxford. But again, it's experimental. The next 3, 4, 5 games for Johannes is experimental. He had a pre-season with players that he thought were going to be here. He played them every game, and then we lost them. And now he's in a bit of a difficult situation where he's now having to try and find what works for him again. So, I fully expect the first 5 games to be very turbulent. I think we could see plenty of goals. I think the way that he certainly wants them to attack and go for it. I think is very much reminiscent of when we had Farker, which is, you score 2, we'll score 3. Whether that actually happens, I have no idea. We still yet to see Sargent score. Rowe was predominantly the one that scored in pre-season. So whether Sargent fits the mould, I really don't know. We're very, very transitional at the minute. I mean, we signed Cresceni from Aston Villa. So I reckon he'll feature at left back with Doyle at centre back, who we obviously loaned in from Man City. And then I fully expect it to be Duffy, Hanley, or Jack Stacey on that right hand side as well. So we'll see. It's all to play for. As I said, I think where Blackburn are now, I think a few years ago I wasn't worried about Blackburn. I think now actually it's a case of it. I think it'll be more of an open game and a more of a open playing field really. So.
Well, we'll get onto your starting 11 in a minute, but if there is one player on that team that we should be keeping an eye out, thinking that, who's got that wow factor, that X factor, who's going to get us off our seat in a Canaries jersey?
That will play. So it's going to be between 2 players. It will be either Borja Sainz, who obviously we've had from last season. Looks to really want to kick on this year. Scored a wonderful goal against Stevenage the other night, sort of from the right hand side across into the top left, which was wonderful. But I really think it's actually our new creative midfielder that we've signed, who potentially is our kind of Sarah replacement. And I honestly have no idea how we've convinced this guy to come to play for little old Norwich, because he is unbelievable. I mean, he can beat a man on the half turn. People are pulling his shirt left, right, and centre. He's still got the ball. He's still running with it, and he can play a wonderful pass at the end of it. So I think Forsen. So it's Forsen Amawank. I think something like that is his name. He's a very good player that we signed from RB Salzburg. And definitely it's going to be his full Championship debut, I believe, against Blackburn this weekend. So certainly, definitely the guy to look out for.
And now, if we flip the tables around, is there anybody on the Rovers team that you were interested to see? Of course, Smonic still here and featuring, but is he the one that you're most worried about, or is there someone else caught your eye?
I think he's the key name. I believe you've got an Asian lad as well, who I think he looks very good. Someone who definitely, if we were able to, I'd love him on the wing, but obviously we're not going to go pinching Blackburn players. Not this late into the transfer window. So I think him, Schmodic's obviously, depending on what Leeds do now with their absolute giant war chest of money that they seem to have acquired now, and with Jorginho Ruta going, I mean it's going to be an interesting one. I think Saturday, I'm looking at the lineup to see if any players are missing. You're looking at your lineup to see if any of your players are missing, and whether Leeds go back in for him because he's cut tied now, I don't know. And with Farke's job, I would actually say on the line, whether Leeds are even willing to spend any of that money at the moment is another question. So. They got absolutely battered last night. So it's one of those. I think you can only hope that Schmodic's obviously stays. He's a Norwich boy as well. So again, if Norwich wanted to poach him, then fine. Maybe he wants to.
You got the cash now, I guess.
To wear it, but again, I know he loves it. He loves Blackburn, and I know he'll love coming to Carrow Road and playing against sort of his childhood team. So yeah, I mean, I was worried he was going to Ipswich at one point, so thank God that's out of the window. I think really it's going to be a very interesting game for both of us to watch, I think.
Yeah. And if we were to take a bird's eye view of Norwich City this season with the new manager, with, of course, some sort of changing of hierarchy there, where are you hoping Norwich will finish this season? Or where are you hoping, and where do you think they will end up?
It depends. I suppose it depends what fan you speak to, but I think the majority will say either top six, or with all of the turbulent changes that are going on, you're looking at top 10, just because you expect there to be a drop-off with, new ideas being implemented, a new regime coming in, and all of that. It can be a very odd time for players because, there is a new way of playing. I fully expect us to be in that top 10. I think it would be disappointment to be below that, just because I think we've got enough to be around there, even if we have lost Sarah. But I don't fully expect us to be sort of 100% dead on, playoff contenders at all this year. I think it's very much a learning season. Get the players in, it's a young squad now that Johannes wants to build, and then it will be second season. We have to be patient with him basically, and then go from there. So yeah.
Okay, well, and then of course going back to Saturday, who features in your starting 11 for Norwich against Rovers at Carrow Road?
So let's go from top to bottom. So Sargent will play up front. He was rested for the Carabao Cup game, so he'll be there. Fastnacht is injured. So is Liam Gibbs. Both were seen on crutches and on some sort of leg brace by the looks of it. So I fully expect it to be Borja on the left with Abu Kamara, who went out on loan to Portsmouth last year. And actually was pivotal for them coming up this year. So he's come back and looked really good in pre-season, got his first goal in the Carabao Cup game the other night. So I fully expect it to be him on the right. And then in midfield, we're looking at Forson, obviously our new signing, our creative midfielder. Kenny McLean in a holding role, with, I'm trying to think who it would be now. Off to such a good start. Trying to think, there's a few it could be. I don't know. I fully expect him to maybe change that, but I would probably go with Nunes. I think he'll go with another creative midfielder in that midfield. And then your back four, I mean, this could be anything, anyone's guess really, because I fully expect it to change. I reckon left it will be Cresceni, with Doyle from Man City. He's been favouring Hanley recently, so I'm going to go with Hanley. And then I reckon it will be Jack Stacey. As much as I want it to be Fisher, who's a youngster who featured and has looked really good, and then it'll be Angus Gunn in goal. So a few changes from Oxford, definitely.
A few changes from Oxford. So we're going to do something a little bit. We're going to do something a little bit different here. It's going to be quick fire. I'm going to throw some players at you. And they have played for both Norwich and Blackburn Rovers, and so it's going to be quick fire, and you're going to have to say which one is best. Here we go. Starting with Martin Olsen, Grant Hanley.
Martin
Olsen, Daniel Ayala.
Martin Olsen,
Harrison Reed.
Wasn't there long enough, I don't think. But I would. I'm going to say Harrison Reed for this one, I think.
Harrison Reed, Jordan Rhodes.
Oh, it's got to be Rhodes.
Jordan Rhodes, Shane Duffy.
It's going to be Rhodes. I can't go Shane Duffy.
Jordan Rhodes, David Bentley. Let's go back a little bit.
That is, it's just be Rhodes. I love him. Love him to
Jordan
bits.
Rhodes, Tom Tribal.
That's a really split heart. It's got to be Tribal. Tommy.
Tribal, Bradley Johnson.
Bradley Johnson,
Simeon Jackson.
Bradley Johnson.
We'll do one more. Bradley Johnson or Dixon Ufuru.
Bradley, all the way.
Well, there was no real choice at the end on that one.
Oh,
so Harvey, let's just wrap this sucker up. What's the score prediction for you for Saturday as Norwich entertain Rovers at Carrow Road?
I think it's going to be one of finding that attack versus defence kind of balance. So I reckon it will be an open game. I think it will be 2-2.
2-2. I'll take it. I'll take it every day of the week. I appreciate it, Harvey. Thanks again for stopping by. And I do appreciate your input. And hopefully we'll chat again when we meet again later on in the season. Appreciate it, Harvey. Have a good rest of your day. I'll let you get out of here.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. A big shout out once again to Harvey for giving up a bit of his day to talk all things Canaries and the hopes and dreams of a season. But what will come out of the game? Well, that's, of course, something to be looking forward to. And again, right here on the channel, we'll have a watch on this coming Saturday. We'll have all the goals, all the drama right here with this guy. That's right. So look forward to that. Again, if you're new, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. But until then, we're done.